hospitals are full of people who have stage 4 cancer and are fighting to just stay alive one more day. What do they know that we don't know? The hospitals are full of people who are sick and are fighting and spending millions of dollars, everything that they don't have, so that they can try to stay alive just one more day. It's not just out of a fear, maybe it's out of an awareness that this life is worth living, that there is stuff here that's worth. You just gotta find it. And finding it can be difficult. It's easy for some people. It's really, really difficult for other people. You wanna go to a star? Well, there's gonna be a first human who gets to the star first. Why not you? Oh, because I don't have the training. Perfect, awesome. Now you know what you need. You need the training, so now go get it. It's the fast food of emotions.
Yeah, fast food of emotions.
We're hoping it's faster, and we're hoping that nobody cares, and yeah, because it'd just be easier if this happened. I don't know, man. Is the purpose of your life, is it to be easy? It's like, kind of like, is the purpose of your life to be comfortable? Here's a hell of a question, by the way. Is the purpose of your life to be happy, even? Now, too often we assert that the purpose of life is just to be happy. It's like, I'm going to commit suicide. Why? Because I'm unhappy. Is the purpose of your life to be happy? Well, yeah. Why? Just because? No, maybe the purpose of your life isn't to be happy. In fact, if I were to ask you, what is the purpose of your life? I don't even know what you'd come up with. You do have a purpose. There is a meaning to be found, but it's such a strange thing to do that, to commit suicide and check out, and having never found the purpose of your life at all. If you're to ask the person, what's your purpose for existence? What's the meaning of life? Why are you here? I don't know. Well, then what the hell are you doing? You don't know what you're doing here. Find out first. And then a strange thing is going to happen, by the way. When you find a meaning and when you find a purpose, if you have a why, you'll come up with the how. In other words, you'll find a reason to keep going once you find out what the meaning and the purpose is. It's almost an assertion of ignorance. I don't know why I'm here, so I'm going to leave. I don't know. It's kind of like, you ever walk into maybe not. You ever walk into a room and you forgot completely why you were going in there? And so, don't you ever look around a little bit first, but hoping something will remind you, or you just go, I don't know, and then you leave. Well, then what happens eventually is you remember and you go back. Except with suicide, you can't remember. You can't go back. It's best maybe to stay around in that room and then look until you finally do discover why you were there in the first place. And then once you do, then you're going to have a reason to stay in there. This is why you find that people who are suicidal, they're not just sad. I know I'm talking to some of you here. It's not just because you're sad, it's because you lack this. Because we all know that life is suffering. We all know that life hurts sometimes. But people have hope that it's going to be better later on. Even if you have a wish, it's a little something to hold on to. It's something to orient your life towards. But if you don't have a wish, at least hopefully you have a hope. In other words, even if you don't have that star that you can wish upon, hopefully at least you have that hope. And that just kind of gives you a little bit of daylight, a little sliver of something to hope, to something that's a little sliver of I'm trying to say it without saying the word hope. It's a little something that you can perhaps look forward to. Because when you're dead, what do you have to look forward to? Not much, man. And that's the thing, you're going to get there eventually anyway. What's the big rush? Maybe find out about life first. Hell, maybe find out about life before we judge it. Before we decide, you know what, it isn't worth living. Do you know that? How can you possibly know that? You haven't gotten about the business of it yet. That's one thing that maybe we shouldn't have to learn on our own. Take it from people who are, the hospitals are full of people who have stage 4 cancer and are fighting to just stay alive one more day. What do they know that we don't know? The hospitals are full of people who are sick and are fighting and spending millions of dollars, everything that they don't have, so that they can try to stay alive just one more day. It's not just out of a fear, maybe it's out of an awareness that this life is worth living, that there is stuff here that's worth. You just gotta find it. And finding it can be difficult. It's easy for some people. It's really, really difficult for other people. I know a friend of mine I talk to all the time. And this guy's been suicidal for a very long time. And the funny thing is, you'd never know it. If you ever looked at him, you just think like, this guy's got it all together. And he does. Everything that you could want worldly wise, he has those things. But if you talk to him like psychologically and emotionally, it isn't like there's been like some big tragedy in his life that's taken away all the joy from his life. It's not that at all. It isn't even like there isn't any like one thing or even multiple things that would drive him towards that. It just seems like it's, for lack of a better word, it's a defect in his personality. And I asked him, how long have you been like that? And I've known him for quite a while, and he says, I've been like this my entire life. He tells me a story about how when he was a little kid, his mom took him to a therapist because he was suicidal like in elementary school, back then. And it wasn't just like he wanted to die. He said that he just, he described it as just like a pain in his mind. And so he's describing there, it's called psychic pain. It's something that actually can cause the body to hurt because it's in your head. And it's not hypochondria. It isn't like, oh, I think I have a back problem, and he doesn't. It's just that his body will actually hurt, and he'll suffer physically because of what's happening to him psychologically. And then, but I asked him, like, how do you do it? And he goes, well, he says, I never go out of the house with that on. So I'm like, okay. In other words, he never goes out and shows it to people. And so I asked him, then what do you do when you get like that? He says, I have to go out. Because then, it's interesting because that says something. He really wants to find a reason to live. He does. And he's been searching and trying for a very long time. He hasn't given up yet. He's older than me. He hasn't given up yet. And so I hope he does. I hope he finds it at some point, because you have to find something to transcend the suffering. And maybe that's the thing that he has found. What he has found that transcends the suffering is the search for something to transcend the suffering. So there's stuff like that we can learn from people who are fighting every day to maintain it. Because there's a hope that's there, perhaps. But if you were to ask someone who's like a complete pessimist, like, what is it that we hope for? Well, we hope for positive things. And so what's Cioran saying here? That the hope for positive things is a fool's hope. That there is no hope for anything better. That as bad as things are, that's how they're always going to be. And we can sit there and say, man, he's figured something out. Can anyone do the math? How old was he when he died? Was he 20?
84.
84 years old. So for a guy who talked about how there was no hope in the future, he lived through a lot of futures. He kept going. He died at an old age. And it's a weird contradiction. It's almost like it's weird to say that his philosophy contradicts the future. And so hope for things. I like this distinction that you guys made. Hoping is for things that are unlikely. Wishing is for things that are impossible. And probably more accurately, we could put an asterisk on the things that are impossible. Because if you think it's impossible, yeah, it probably is. If you think it's not, it probably is not. Is it likely? Probably not. But can you get there? Someone will. It's like, you want to be famous? Well, one thing you know about the future, someone's going to be famous. Why not you? Or I guess maybe a better question, why you? You want to go to a star? Well, someone's going to there's going to be a first human who gets to the star first. Why not you? Oh, because I don't have the training. Perfect. Awesome. Now you know what you need. You need the training. So now go get it. Or is it not really a wish? It's just a desire. And maybe we can draw another distinction there. In other words, that the hopes and the wishes are things that we're willing to work towards, versus a desire, like I just had this innate want for something, but don't really want to go get it. And again, nothing wrong with that. I think maybe perhaps part of the problem is that we assert that there's something wrong with it. We assume there's something wrong with it. Like anybody in here want to, I don't know if anybody here wants to be the richest person in the world. And I go, I'd love to be the richest person in the world. Do you want to work for it though? Not really. That's a lot of work. Can I just be like the 10th richest person in the world? Can I even if I was just like the 10,000th richest person in the world, that'd be fine too. And then maybe there's stuff that you can work towards. Yeah, but first things first, I guess, align ourselves and find something towards which to orient ourselves. Because if you can find a why, you can no doubt find a how. So, questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques? Yeah.